Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Mark from Solar Games, and today we're going to talk about some major changes in March of the Machines for drafting. Yes, and apparently I actually found out about this a while ago. I want to say like almost 2 months ago, but I failed to talk about it because I forgot. Honestly, that's the reason. I was doing so many other things, I totally forgot to tell you guys about it. But actually tonight, after since I was playing draft with some of my friends, I told them about it, and they're like, "Wait, what?" There was a pretty big shock in the room. I guess Wizard hasn't really communicated this well to the players, which is a big problem because it's going to change drafting forever. And no, I don't mean battle cards. So yes, we know there's going to be a new card type called Battle coming into Magic. I think it will be introduced in March of the Machines, if not in the Aftermath, the expansion or additional set after the normal set is released. But no, I'm not talking about battle cards. What I'm talking about is dramatic changes to the draft booster. Traditionally, your draft boosters is 15 cards plus one helper card. And depending on whether you get a land or not, essentially what you're doing is you're looking at a one rare or mythic rare card, followed by three common, uncommon cards. And of course, then you have, to make it a full 15, you have essentially like 11 common cards. Now, sometimes that one common card extra is a land. For example, Neon Dynasty has a land slot, and the land could be a one of the showcase lands or a normal land, etc. Some other sets don't have lands in the actual drafting slot. That's a possibility as well. But most sets now have really cool lands like full art stuff, so they always include a land slot. That's pretty standard now, right? So in general, you're going to have three uncommons and one rare. That's what most people look at when they draft and they think about these cards. And of course, with your 11 commons, including a land or whatever. And of course, there is a possibility of getting a rare. I think it's like I want to say every third pack, so one every 33% chance, repeating, of course, of a foil. So what happens with foil is the foil replaces the one of the common cards. So one of the commons will be gone. So let's say you have 11, you'll have 10 commons, and then one of the commons will become a rare of any rarity. It could be a common, uncommon, rare, or mythic rare. But of course not of equal possibility or probabilities. So of course the mythic rare foil is still going to be more rare, right? That's your standard draft booster. I believe it's been this way for like a long time. I mean, we're talking 30 years. Now, there are some sets that have like 8 card draft packs, whatever. Ignoring those, any of the standard 15 card draft packs, they've been packing them this way. Of course, coming in March of the Machines, draft boosters are changing. So instead of one rare, it's going to be 1 to 2 rares. So there's actually a possibility of 2 rares per pack, or 2 mythic rares, essentially 2. So it's rare or higher, right? So 1 rare, 2 rares, or 1 rare, 1 mythic rare, 2 mythic rares are all possible now within the draft pack. This is not including that extra foil that you could get. So essentially, you could essentially get almost 3 rares or 3 mythic rares. It's possible, but probably very unlikely. 3 to 5 uncommons. So now there's going to be a lot more focus on the uncommons. Maybe the idea is because, one of the things that you'll notice in drafting, especially, is that most sets now have like 100 and a little bit, so 101 usually, of commons, and then 80 uncommons. 80 uncommons is quite a bit of cards. And so a lot of times when you draft, unless you're drafting a lot, you sometimes won't even see a certain uncommon. So it feels more like a rare. Maybe that's why they're adjusting it this way. But you're going to have a minimum of 3, but up to a maximum of 5 uncommons, which then leads the end of this to be 8 to 9 commons. Now, if you add in the max value of every one of those slots, it doesn't add up to 15. When we think about this range, because there's variability in the packs now, so some packs will have 4 uncommons, some packs will have 3, some packs will have 5. But essentially, if you have a pack with 9 commons, 5 uncommons, that's 14, right? Plus your 1 land, it actually wouldn't work because that's already 15 cards, and that's not even including that 1 rare. So likely what's going to happen is that if you have a pack with 5 uncommons, the maximum number of commons you're going to get is 8, and the maximum number of rares you're going to get for that pack is also 1. So it would still add up to 15. And if you have packs that are, let's say, like, 2 rares, right, in the pack, then the maximum number of commons, I guess this one is a little bit variable, but you're never going to have 5 uncommons and 9 commons. You may have 8 and 4, or like 9 and 3. Like, basically one of those has to be less than the maximum anyways. So that's the kind of changes that's going to happen. So how is this really going to affect draft? I think we don't know yet. I think Wizards will be designing cards differently. Maybe now suddenly there's more uncommons than before. So that kind of accommodates the fact that you're going to see more uncommons. Maybe they're going to keep the ratio still the same, and that this will help us see some of those uncommons more commonly, so they're not actually feel like rares. Now, it does also add to power level a little bit, because again, most of the time when they design cards, uncommons and rares are going to be a little bit more powerful, more text. So maybe the power of each one of these sets as you draft will feel differently too, because again, there's more cards. I think tonight, actually, I was talking to one of my friends, and I think there's this concept that I've realized now is, we can speculate and we can tabletop like how we think this will affect the game, but until you draft it and really put yourself in that mode of understanding, again, not just drafting any set this way, but drafting the set that Wizards designed this way, you're going to start really understanding what 5 uncommons feels like, or what 8 commons and 2 rares feels like. It will feel differently, but I can't right now tell you how that's going to really differentiate, because no one knows really how it's going to feel. But of course, remember, there is also that special rare in the back, the foil possibility. So again, there is still 1 in every 3 packs, you're going to have a rare, foil, and that foil could also be uncommon. So you have a 6th uncommon, I guess, or like another rare or something like that too. So there's that possibility. You could have packs with 3 rares and 7 commons, for example, and then whatever's left is going to be your uncommons, like 4 or something. So there's a lot of these possibilities that's kind of like now swirling in players' minds, and I think we'll find out when we play. Now, as to why WotC's doing this now, I think there's 2 reasons. One is WotC has seen the excitement that players have when they open things like draft boost, set boosters or collector's boosters, and they want to bring some of that to the draft environment. At the same time, they want to maybe potentially promote like more buying of draft boosters, because at this point, one of the challenges that WotC has understood is for a long time, they've kind of been subsidizing the set boosters. The value of the set boosters is way higher than the draft boosters, right? And so maybe a lot of the draft players are feeling like, hey, we're getting a lot less for basically paying about the same. So, if you remember when Zendikar Rising introduced set boosters, the set boosters at one point of Zendikar Rising was actually lower than the draft booster of Zendikar Rising. So the teeter-totter of price and whatever just didn't make any sense, meaning like it was a no-brainer product to buy the set booster, especially if you're cracking for singles, than the draft booster, right? And that's what they want, and I think by and large, WotC has succeeded in introducing and at this point stabilizing set boosters. They are going to be here forever, and people like them. Unlike the Jumpstart stuff, right, that they've been doing, the Jumpstart boosters of each set, which I think, by the way, that's going to get canceled probably by the end of this year. They're going to replace it with some other product, but I think that Jumpstart is not going to stay. No, I mean, stores aren't ordering it. Like it's a bad product. It's a toxic product at this point. So set booster have been established. I think some of the draft players are feeling like, hey, why am I paying $100 when I'm getting the same thing or I'm getting a much more inferior product as far as card pull goes from the people who are buying set boosters. So I think this is what WotC is trying to do. They're trying to adjust this so that draft boosters feel more valuable. There's less bulk at the end of the draft, maybe, because again, there's more rares swirling around, so you can pull more cards. And so it kind of gives a lot more options. One thing I like to think about is, there's always going to be the rare drafters. I actually think it's kind of interesting because now with, let's say, potentially like at a table, instead of having 3 packs of, like rares, whatever, going around, you may have, so it's like 3 rares going around, you may have 6 rares now, or maybe 8, right, for each person sitting at the table. Probably not those kind of rates. Again, we don't know what the rates are for the 1 or 2 rare packs, but imagine for the people who are trying to rare draft and they're just literally doing that and then they're leaving the table, maybe now there's something for them too, in addition to the people who are trying to play the game, because now they can, have more options to cards. So I think it's actually kind of interesting. Like, again, we don't know what's going to happen until, of course, we see it in the stores. But once we see it, then we'll find out. I hope that's informative and helpful. Anyways, Mark, Solar Games, stay classy.